Hi, I'm Cyndy Scanlon-Rother from Sewn by Cyndy. It's now called Sewn by Cyndy, and my mom too, because now my mom, Anita Scanlon, helps me. I got a little too busy, so I needed some extra help. So every week I take her 20 to 30 pieces of fabric and backings, and when she can, and she has done so every week, makes about that many masks for me. I'm going to show you a little bit or about the steps it takes to make a mask. People often ask me how long it takes to make one. It's sort of hard for me to answer because I sort of have an assembly line of what I do, because I make a whole bunch at once, and then I do each step on each of them, and then so I rarely do just one mask to give someone an exact time. My guess would be about 15 minutes to make a mask. So the first thing I do is order fabric. My favorite place to order fabric is from Etsy. People on Etsy sell small quantities in fat quarters, which is my favorite way to order fabric. A fat quarter is a quilting term. I'm hoping I have a fat quarter here. Oh, I know I have some ink right. This might be one. Here's a fat quarter. So, oops, that's not a fat quarter. It's a quilting term, and I'm going to hopefully find you a fat quarter. Rather than a quarter yard, because quarter yards can be really hard to work with. For example, this is a quarter yard. So this is really hard to work with because it's super skinny. So quilters often sell fabric in fat quarters. So it's square, so I can get more masks out of this than I can out of this. So Etsy and eBay tend to sell fat quarters. Joann Fabrics, you can't buy a fat quarter. So, or you can, but not in the variety that I'd like. So I'd much rather buy a fat quarter. I use 100% cotton quilting fabric, which is what the CDC recommends. All of my masks are 2 layers thick. I don't put nose clips, although I might try ordering some removable ones in shortly. I don't have pockets either. As long as it's 2 layers and you can't blow a candle out of it, which my masks you should not be able to. I cannot. They are fine. Some of those gaiters you see people wear up that you pull up through your neck that are stretchy and knit, those I've seen them, and as soon as I actually got one, I knew they weren't any good because that thin material, anything that's thin and stretchy, is way too thin. So the first thing I do when I get material is I have to wash it. So, and it does usually shrink a bit. So I wash it and dry it, obviously, and that's why sometimes this comes out like this, which then I have to iron it. Or I have, luckily, perfect steam on my dryer. If I put it back in on the dryer, I can usually get most of the wrinkles out. So that is a fat quarter and a quarter yard. I would sometimes prefer to buy half a yards even if I don't need it, because it's much easier to work with it, because a half yard is a lot wider. So this is a half a yard. Now this came from Joann Fabrics. I prefer not to go to the store, so I like to buy everything online. So, but that's a half yard. That was from Joann Fabrics because I needed thread. So those are some of my fabrics. I usually use solids on the back and a print on the front, but sometimes I do use a print on the back if I have too much of a certain print, or if I have too much of a certain print, or a print that might not be too popular. So I will show you what I do is I use a cutting board. At first, when I started, I just used scissors, but I do have arthritis and it was starting to get to my hands. I have a couple different kinds of scissors. I have some favorite scissors. My favorite ones are upstairs though, so. But I found it much easier and much more consistent to use a rotary cutter. And this is the rotary cutter board. And you just measure it out and you put a piece of fabric on here I have 2 sizes, well, 3 sizes, but 2 sizes I use the most. You just measure it out, you put the straight edge here, and you zip, and the next thing you know, oops, excuse me, you'll have, this is an adult size mask cut, and this is one that's easy to cut, and it is 6 inches, oops, here's the front, 6 inches by 9. The kids ones are 5 inches by 7 inches. And I do have a kids that is 5 inches by 8. If you just hold on one second. 2 different types of fabrics I cut. So sometimes that'll help you understand the price difference. So this would just be a normal straight fabric. So I don't have to do anything special. I can just cut. They all pretty much look the same. Now this is a fabric that takes a lot longer to cut because I might be cutting out one particular guy. So I have to cut just him out. So I actually have a cardboard that's the right size, and I put the straight edge there and there. And the reason why I have to charge more for these is because when I cut that out, if you look, I lose people on either edge, so that's why these have to be more. There's also some special fabrics that I order in that are custom printed for me, and those are very expensive a yard, so those have to be $10 as well. I'm gonna jump ahead because we are gonna go upstairs and I'll show you my sewing machine. But I'm gonna jump ahead and show you what we do at the very end, and it's usually my son and I or my friend Christy, who you often see with. So at the very end, we end up, this is a finished project, so I am jumping ahead. So after they're made, they look like these. So this is the end step. We roll them and make sure there's no threads. If there are, we have to take little scissors and snip off the stray edges. We put stickers on them so people know what the top is if it isn't obvious, but we do it regardless. This one would be one that's obvious. We fold them in half. We put a business card in there after we sticker it. And we put it in a bag and tape up the bag, and then we have to sort them by category. So that actually can take some time. We do the same for the kids. Here's a kids one. So, and then some of the kids ones, the newest kids ones have longer ear straps because I had heard that they were running rather short. I am in the process now of cutting Halloween fabric, so that'll be coming soon, and some fall sunflowers and fall colors, so that will all be coming soon, so that's something to look forward to. We're gonna take a break, we're gonna go upstairs and I'll show you the sewing machine. Okay, so this is where I spent a lot of my summer nights and summer days. I try really bad arthritis in this one wrist, so I'm trying to limit the number of hours I'm sewing. So my machine is Husqvarna Viking. I just call it my Viking. It is kind of a fancy one. It does about 200 different types of stitches. Not that I know how to do all of them. And it does a full line of embroidery. Not so great at that embroidery though. So the first thing I do is I would sew a front of a mask. Oh, I don't know if I have a plain one. Well, I do have a plain one. I probably would not put turquoise with Spider-Man though. So I would sew a front, so Spidey, to a solid back, but I don't think I'd do this color combination. I'd sew all around it, and then you pull it through, and then I sew up here a stitch, up here a stitch. I make pleats using these. I'm so happy I don't have to use pins. I use these little clips to make the pleats. I do 3 pleats along each side. I go about 1 inch down, while on the kids ones about 3/4 of an inch down, and so 3 pleats 2 seams making 3 pleats. And you can see on the adult ones, find an adult one that's done. Here's an adult's Indians one. Now, my mom's pattern is a tiny bit different. She doesn't do an inch down. So there we have the pleats, they expand, make it bigger. So once I do that, then I have to add the elastic on all of them. So I have braided elastic that's a 1/4 inch thick white, which looks like I'm about ready for a new bolt. The elastic on the adults is 6 7/8, about 6 3/4, 6 7/8, attached to either side from here to here and from here to here. The kids, it's about 6 inches from here to here and here to here. And I attach that, and the next thing you know, you have a mask, and I think I make, you know, between my mom and I, we try to make 100 a week with the kids. Yeah, about 100 a week. And I think that is about it. The thread I can use, because you don't want to create a lot of lint with your machine. This is a higher end machine, is Gutermann. I probably have 75 different colors. I find that gray is pretty flexible for lots of different colors. What's on this pile right here, right now, is lots of stuff for nieces and nephews that need to be done. So I have a hard time right now taking special orders because I'm having a hard time keeping up, but I do the best to listen to what you guys want. And my number is on my business cards. I've been there every Sunday since the second one, and I'm having a good time with it. It's unfortunate that we have to wear them, but at least if you can wear a fun mask, we can make the best of the situation. So thanks for listening. Have a great one.